The day they took everything from me. Have you ever watched your whole life disappear, while everyone around you believed you deserved it? I have. And the worst part wasn't losing my business. It wasn't losing my home. It wasn't even losing the people I trusted the most. The worst part was standing completely alone while the people who destroyed my life smiled, and everyone applauded them. They thought they had won. They thought I would disappear quietly. What they didn't know was that every lie leaves a trail. And I was about to follow every single one. My name is Emma. 5 years ago, I believed hard work could solve almost anything. I wasn't born into money. My parents worked ordinary jobs and taught me one simple lesson: if you want something, earn it. So I did. At 28, I opened a small design company. It wasn't fancy. The office had old furniture, secondhand computers, and walls that needed fresh paint. But it was mine. Every client I earned felt like a victory. Every paycheck reminded me that dreams could become real if you refused to quit. Slowly, the company grew. People started recommending us. Businesses trusted us. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just surviving. I was building something that would last. And that was exactly when everything began to fall apart. One Monday morning, my assistant walked into my office looking nervous. "Emma, there's someone here asking about company records." I frowned. "What records?" "He says he's from an auditing firm." I hadn't requested an audit. Still, I invited him inside. He asked dozens of questions. Financial reports, contracts, invoices, employee files. At first, I wasn't worried. Everything was organized. Everything was legal. But as the meeting continued, I noticed something strange. He kept mentioning documents I had never signed. Contracts I had never seen. Payments that never entered our accounts. I laughed awkwardly. There has to be some mistake. He didn't laugh back. I hope so. That sentence stayed with me long after he left. That evening, I checked every company file myself. Hours passed. Nothing looked wrong. Until I opened one folder I hadn't touched in months. There it was. A contract with my digital signature. Except, I had never signed it. Another one. And another. My heart started racing. Someone had copied my signature. Someone inside my company had been creating fake agreements. But who? There were only 3 people with access to those files. And all 3 were people I trusted. The next morning, I called an emergency meeting. Everyone acted surprised. Everyone denied knowing anything. They looked concerned, helpful, supportive. Looking back now, their acting deserved an award. Especially Daniel. Daniel wasn't just my business partner. He was also the man I thought I would marry. We had built the company together. Or at least, that's what I believed. He looked me in the eyes and gently held my hand. "We'll figure this out together." I believed him. That was my biggest mistake. Over the next few weeks, things became worse. Clients suddenly canceled contracts. Suppliers stopped returning calls. Rumors spread online claiming our company had cheated customers. People I had worked with for years suddenly treated me like a criminal. I couldn't understand how everything was collapsing so quickly. Then came the biggest shock. The bank froze our business accounts during the investigation. Payroll stopped. Bills piled up. Employees started leaving. Every morning, I unlocked the office wondering if it would be the last day we stayed open. One evening, I stayed late trying to save whatever I could. As I walked toward the parking lot, I realized I had forgotten my laptop. When I returned, I heard voices inside the conference room. Daniel was talking. Another employee laughed. I couldn't hear every word. Then one sentence froze me in place. "She still thinks we're helping her." Silence. Then another voice. "By the time she understands, everything will already belong to us." I couldn't breathe. My hands shook. Were they talking about me? I wanted to burst into the room. Instead, I stayed quiet. Sometimes the truth reveals itself only if you stop interrupting it. I pulled out my phone and pressed record. That recording changed everything, not because it proved the crime, but because it proved one thing. I wasn't imagining it anymore. Someone close to me was planning something. I just didn't know how deep it went. When the meeting ended, I slipped away before anyone saw me. That night, I didn't sleep. Every conversation from the past year replayed in my mind. Every strange meeting, every missing document, every excuse Daniel had made. For the first time, I wondered if the man I loved had ever truly been on my side. A week later, the answer arrived. Not in a dramatic confession. Not in an argument, but in a simple envelope left outside my office door. There were no fingerprints, no return address. Inside was a single flash drive. And a handwritten note. "Trust no one, especially Daniel." My heart pounded as I plugged the drive into my laptop. What I saw on the screen made my blood run cold. Emails, bank transfers, private messages, secret agreements. Every file pointed to one impossible truth. The people I trusted most hadn't just betrayed me. They had been planning it for months. And as I stared at the evidence, one terrifying thought echoed in my mind. If this was only the beginning, how much more had they already taken from me? They wanted me to give up. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours. Every email on that flash drive uncovered another lie. Daniel wasn't trying to save the company. He was helping destroy it. The messages were careful. No one directly admitted to anything. But together, they painted a clear picture. My biggest clients had been contacted behind my back. They were told that I was unstable, that I was making terrible financial decisions, and that the company would soon collapse. Then came the message that hurt the most. "Once Emma is out, we'll relaunch under the new brand. Most clients won't even notice." I read it again and again. 5 years of sleepless nights. 5 years of sacrifice. They wanted to erase it all with a new logo and a few lies. I wanted to cry. Instead, I closed my laptop. If they wanted me broken, I wouldn't give them that satisfaction. Dash dash dash. The next morning, I walked into the office as if nothing had changed. Daniel smiled. Morning. How are you holding up? I forced a smile. I'm fine. For the first time, I noticed how easily he lied. How calmly he pretended to care. I realized something important. The only reason I knew the truth was because someone had secretly warned me. Whoever left that flash drive had risked everything. I couldn't waste that chance. So I made a decision. I wouldn't confront anyone. Not yet. People who believe they've already won become careless. And careless people make mistakes. Dash dash dash. Over the next 2 weeks, I watched. I listened. I wrote everything down. Who stayed late? Who made private phone calls? Who suddenly avoided looking me in the eyes? The pattern became impossible to ignore. 3 employees, Daniel, and an outside consultant I barely knew. They met almost every evening after everyone else had gone home. They thought no one noticed, but I noticed everything. Dash dash dash. Then another blow arrived. One of our biggest clients canceled a contract worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The reason? They claimed they had already signed with another company. The company's website looked strangely familiar. The colors, the designs, even the wording, it all looked like my work. Only one thing was different. My name was gone. Daniel's name was everywhere. I finally understood. They hadn't just planned to leave. They planned to steal everything I had built. Dash dash dash. That night, I sat alone in my empty office. The silence was painful. Every chair reminded me of employees who had trusted me. Every award on the wall reminded me of dreams that suddenly felt impossible. I asked myself the hardest question. Should I just walk away? For a few minutes, I almost did, but then I remembered my father. Whenever life became difficult, he used to say, "The truth doesn't always arrive first, but it always arrives." Those words became my strength. I wasn't fighting for money anymore. I was fighting for the truth. Dash dash dash. The next day, I called my old college friend, Sophia. She had become a forensic accountant. We hadn't spoken in almost 2 years. When I explained everything, she stayed quiet. Finally, she said, "Emma, if even half of this is true, they're counting on one thing." "What? They think you don't have proof." She agreed to help. Every evening after work, we reviewed documents together. Invoices, contracts, email records, payment histories. At first, everything looked normal. Then Sophia found something unusual. Several payments had been approved just minutes after I supposedly signed documents. The problem, at those exact times, my phone's location showed I was attending meetings across town. Someone had copied my signature and used my identity while I wasn't even there. That was the first piece of evidence we could actually prove. Dash dash dash. For the first time in weeks, I smiled, not because I had won, but because the truth finally had a voice. Still, I knew one document wouldn't be enough. People like Daniel always had backup plans. We needed more, much more, so we kept digging. Late nights became normal. Coffee replaced sleep. Hope slowly replaced fear. Dash dash dash. One evening, Sophia noticed something else. Every suspicious payment eventually reached the same holding company. But the owner's name wasn't Daniel. It belonged to someone else. A woman named Victoria. I had never heard of her. After more searching, we discovered something shocking. Victoria wasn't just a business owner. She was Daniel's sister. Suddenly everything made sense. The new company, the stolen clients, the fake contracts, the hidden payments. It had been a family plan from the very beginning. I wasn't competing against strangers. I had been surrounded by people pretending to be family while quietly building my replacement. Dash dash dash. For a moment, anger took over. I wanted to call Daniel immediately. I wanted answers. Instead, I remembered why I had stayed silent. The truth was growing stronger every day. If I confronted him now, he would destroy the remaining evidence. No, I needed patience. Patience had become my greatest weapon. Dash dash dash. A few days later, Daniel walked into my office carrying coffee. "Thought you could use this." I thanked him. He smiled. "You know, no matter what happens, we'll always be friends." Friends. The word almost made me laugh. He sat across from me. "I've been thinking, maybe it's time you step away from the company. It would reduce the pressure." There it was. His real goal. He wanted me to leave willingly. If I resigned, everything would become easier for them. I nodded slowly. "I'll think about it." His face relaxed. He believed I was giving up. As he left my office, I quietly opened the notebook hidden in my desk. Under today's date, I wrote just one sentence. "He thinks I've surrendered." Then I smiled. Because I hadn't. Not even close. Dash dash dash. That evening, Sophia called me with excitement in her voice. "Emma, I found something huge." "What is it?" "The server." "What about it?" "It automatically saved deleted files." I froze. "Can we recover them?" "I already started." My heart raced. If the deleted records were still there, then every lie, every fake contract, every secret message, could finally come back to life. And if that happened, Daniel wouldn't just lose the company. He would lose the story he had spent months creating. Because the truth was finally ready to speak. The truth they could never hide. Sophia barely slept that night. Neither did I. By sunrise, my phone rang. The moment I answered, I could hear the excitement in her voice. "Emma, we got them." I sat up so quickly that my coffee spilled across the table. "What did you find?" "The deleted files weren't really gone. The system kept backup copies." I closed my eyes. For weeks, I had felt like I was drowning. Now, for the first time, I could finally breathe. Dash dash dash. When I arrived at Sophia's office, she had dozens of documents spread across the desk. Emails, draft contracts, payment records, internal messages, each one connected to the next like pieces of a puzzle. Together, they told the whole story. Daniel and the others had planned everything months before the investigation began. They copied my signature, moved clients behind my back, created false stories about me. Even the anonymous complaints that started the audit had come from them. The investigation wasn't bad luck. It was part of their plan. They wanted everyone to believe I had failed because of my own mistakes. Instead, they had created those mistakes themselves. Dash dash dash. Sophia looked at me. This is enough to clear your name. I nodded. But I don't want revenge built on anger. She smiled. So what do you want? I want the truth where everyone can see it. Dash dash dash. We contacted an experienced attorney and handed over every document. He spent several days reviewing everything. Finally, he looked at me and said, they made one mistake. Only one. They became too confident. Their fake documents didn't match the original system records. Their timelines didn't match security logs. And several emails had been deleted from personal computers, but not from the company's backup server. The evidence supported one story. Mine. Dash dash dash. A few weeks later, an important business mediation meeting was scheduled. Daniel attended with complete confidence. He walked into the room wearing his best suit. He smiled at everyone. He even asked if I was doing okay. For a moment, I almost forgot who he really was. Almost. Dash dash dash. The meeting began. Everyone expected another discussion about the company's collapse. Instead, my attorney stood up. I believe everyone deserves to see the complete timeline. The room became silent. One by one, the documents appeared on the screen. Original contracts, fake signatures, deleted emails, recovered messages, bank records, security logs. Every excuse Daniel had used began falling apart. His smile slowly disappeared. Dash dash dash. Then came the recording I had made weeks earlier. His own voice filled the room. She still thinks we're helping her. Nobody spoke. The silence felt louder than shouting. Daniel tried to explain. He claimed the conversation had been misunderstood. Then another email appeared. Then another. Then another. Each one confirmed the same truth. There was no misunderstanding. There was only deception. Dash dash dash. One of our former clients stood up. He looked directly at Daniel. So, Emma never lied to us. Daniel couldn't answer. Another client quietly apologized to me. Then another. Within minutes, the entire room understood what had really happened. The story they had believed for months had been built on lies. And lies cannot survive forever. Dash dash dash. The investigation officially cleared my name. The false accusations were withdrawn. Several contracts that had been taken from my company returned. Not because people felt sorry for me. Because they finally trusted me again. That meant more than money ever could. Dash dash dash. Daniel's new business didn't last long. Without stolen ideas, without false promises, without other people's work, it quickly lost the confidence of clients. The same shortcuts that helped him rise became the reason he fell. I didn't celebrate. Watching someone face the consequences of their own choices wasn't joyful. It was simply the end of a story they had written themselves. Dash dash dash. Months later, I reopened my company. It wasn't as large as before. In fact, it was much smaller. But something was different. Every person working beside me had earned my trust. This time, I hired slowly. I listened more. I paid attention to actions instead of promises. The office wasn't filled with expensive furniture. It was filled with honest people. And that made all the difference. Dash dash dash. One afternoon, I received another envelope. For a second, my heart raced. It reminded me of the anonymous flash drive that had changed everything. Inside was a short note. I was too afraid to speak before. I'm glad someone finally did. Thank you. There was no name, no signature, just those words. Whoever had first warned me had seen the ending. They knew the truth had finally won. I smiled, folded the note, and placed it in my desk drawer. Not as a reminder of betrayal, but as a reminder that courage can come from unexpected places. Dash dash dash. Looking back now, people often ask me the same question. Was revenge worth it? My answer surprises them. My revenge wasn't destroying Daniel. My revenge wasn't making him suffer. My revenge was refusing to become the person he believed I would become. He expected me to quit. I rebuilt. He expected me to stay silent. I spoke with evidence. He expected everyone to remember me as the woman who failed. Instead, they remembered me as the woman who refused to give up. That was the victory that mattered. Dash dash dash. If there's one lesson my story taught me, it's this. Not every smile is honest. Not every partner is loyal. And not every loss is the end. Sometimes, life tears everything away because it's making room for something stronger. The truth may arrive slowly. It may test your patience. It may leave you feeling completely alone. But if you keep your integrity, stay calm, and let the facts speak, the truth has a way of finding the light. They took everything from me. My business, my reputation, my peace. They thought they had won. But they forgot one simple thing. You can steal someone's success. You can spread lies. You can even turn the world against them for a while. But you can never bury the truth forever. And when the truth finally arrives, it doesn't need to shout. It simply stands there. And everyone else falls silent. The end.